Hello and welcome to the Diamond Report for Saturday, May 13th, 2017. This is your host, Doug Diamond. It's currently 11:56 p.m. on Saturday, and again, I'm just like last night, barely squeaking in the report before the end of the day. However, this is still officially Saturday when I'm starting, even though I won't get it edited tonight. I'll do what I did today was I edited in the morning and then posted it a little bit later in the day. Hopefully that still works for people. Just to bring your attention to a couple of magnitude 4.0 quakes in and around the United States. We've got a 4.4 off of the west coast right here. Fairly significant size there. That will filter eastward in the coming days. And we also have a magnitude 4.2 in Oklahoma. I'm sure that probably rattled a few cages there. That's a pretty good size earthquake. Again, Oklahoma is now the New Madrid seismic zone, and that is due mostly to the weakening of the crust that's happened over the last several years due to fracking. And anyways, it is interesting that we've got a couple of magnitude 4s there, and then a bunch of new 4s in Central America as well. Quite a few there. And another 5, a couple more 5s in Chile in South America. And let's see. There were even more 4s over here today too. We had a lot of 4s today. Right now we're just looking at the last 24 hours. There's a 4.5 there north of Japan. There's a 5.0 at the North Pole, and a near 6.0, 5.8 actually, on the border between Turkmenistan and Iran. And so that's another near 6. And then we've had a number of 4s across the Middle East and into Europe, and even Iceland. Iceland's had a magnitude 4. Of course, there's a number of volcanoes and things like that in Iceland too that affects it. So anyway, we'll keep the earthquake update very short tonight. However, I just wanted to show you that, and we're still seeing that ramp up, I think it is, from CERN, at least in part. Not all of it, but we're definitely seeing increased activity. If we go back to the last 48 hours, that would cover most of what we talked about yesterday. I did a more extensive update yesterday. I won't get back into that again tonight, but just know that we've seen a number of 6.0s and even one 7 in the last several days. Let's move on to the headlines. 24 hours later, unprecedented fallout from biggest ransomware attack in history. That's on Zero Hedge. Trump wants fast decision on Comey replacement. Here are the 11 candidates. Snowden slams sloppy NSA as the world's computer systems are held to ransom. That's on Sputnik News. Urgent global challenge, new Geneva Convention needed to stop cyber attacks. Also on Sputnik News. Microsoft releases urgent operating system patch in the wake of #WannaCry ransomware blitz. That's on RT.com. Of course, WannaCry is the name of the ransomware. Don't wanna cry. 5 easy tips to protect yourself from ransomware. Also on RT.com. And if you don't know, ransomware is where the computer gets locked down and you get a message on your screen not letting you go past it until you call such and such phone number and then fork over whatever the amount of money it is that they're asking for. And of course, never ever do that, because you will fork over your money, they will take your money, but your computer is not going to get unlocked. It just doesn't. I've had to clean up many computers in the past from clients who have ransomware on their computer. That's basically how it works. It's just a money grab. That's what it is. It locks up your computer. You call them up thinking you can pay money and get it unlocked, but it never works. So if you get ransomware on your computer, don't fall for it. Email me. Call me. But basically, usually what you do is you end up running a malware type of program that gets rid of the ransomware from your computer. Then it unlocks it and you can reboot and use your computer like normal. Hunt the hackers, the gang behind unprecedented attack using atom bomb of malware, which has now spread to 130,000 systems in more than 100 countries, are targeted by global task force. Anonymous British blogger becomes accidental hero by stalling global cyber attack for just £8 as crippled NHS finally gets up and running after the atom bomb of malware halts car production and hits more than 100 countries. The communications team blanked the bed on the Comey firing. If I worked there, I'd be dialing up my attorney. Trump insider reveals chaos inside the White House after FBI firing. Bin Laden's son, now 28, is hell-bent on avenging his father's death after becoming an al-Qaeda poster boy and has issued the chilling threat, quote, "American people, we're coming and you're going to feel it." Well, I know I'm afraid. I hope you are too, because obviously we're supposed to be afraid. No, Bin Laden's son needs to figure out that his dear old dad was not killed by the American troops. None of that's true. He died from, I don't remember what it was now. It wasn't pancreatic cancer, but it was some sort of other disease at the very tail end of 2001, after 9/11 happened, of which he had nothing to do with. He was a scapegoat, a convenient dead scapegoat. And they took his body, whether it was the CIA or who, I don't know. They took his body and put him on ice, and they pulled it out, dusted him off whenever it was convenient for Obama to claim that it had been assassinated after the military troops went in and took care of him. Well, he was already dead. He died in 2001. None of what we were told was true. They did a hasty burial at sea when the ship was coming back, and of course none of that is Islam or Sharia compliant. That would never have happened to the real Osama bin Laden. Who knows where his body really is, but I can guarantee you it wasn't his body they dumped into the ocean. Anyway, if bin Laden's son's upset, he's upset because he's bought a whole bunch of propaganda about his own father's death. Ebola is back. World Health Organization declares epidemic, quote, taking it very seriously. That's on shtfplan.com. Just when you thought it was safe, Ebola is back. They need a new scare because apparently Zika wasn't enough. So they're going to dredge up Ebola again. And as I mentioned last night when I talked about this, Dr. Rima, her really good Nanosilver is the answer. If Ebola is truly a real problem, which probably isn't really, but saying it was, the answer is to drink Dr. Rima's Nanosilver. It gets rid of it. It heals people. It really does. I take it every day anyway. But, and I mentioned this last night, she had several box loads of her silver shipped over to Africa, and the ones that made it through to where they were going actually did cure people who were sick with Ebola. It made them all better, and they were just fine. So anyways, just keep all that in mind. This Ebola scare is probably nothing more than just a scare, though. Austria on the edge, government set to collapse, and it could cause an EU nightmare. I mentioned this the other day. This is on the Express. Obviously, we need to call Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's his home country. Why doesn't he swoop in and save him? Pictured Hungary's new electrified border wall, watchtowers, and guards outfitted with machine guns. That's on shtfplan.com. And from the Express, Kim Jong-un's hit list. Pyongyang names terrorists who plotted to assassinate the despot. Yeah, and let me guess, it's probably all Americans at the top. Ebola, an outbreak has been confirmed in the DRC. Here's what you need to know. DRC, of course, is the Democratic Republic of Congo. Again, I mentioned this just last night. We talked about it. Russian hacker claims FBI coerced confession over Clinton cyber attack. It's on Zero Hedge. Top NSA whistleblower says ransomware hack due to, quote, swindle of the taxpayers by intelligence agencies. That's on washingtonsblog.com. Ebola outbreak. Russia accused Bill Gates of infecting Congolese villagers. So it was Bill Gates' fault, huh? 500,000 people watched Pope Francis create 2 child saints who spoke with demons in Fatima vision. From Zero Hedge, worst restaurant tailspin since 2009 and 10 crushes lower end. Martial law if ongoing global cyber attack hits banks. It's on superstation95.com. John Hopkins, psychiatrist, says transgenderism is a mental illness. Gearing up for World War III, NATO tanks put on massive show of strength in Germany while Putin's troops practice dropping their armor by parachute. That's on the Daily Mail. Quote, your actions are an embarrassment. Former LA Sheriff Lee Baca is sentenced to 3 years in prison for attempting to cover up an FBI investigation into the jail he once ran. Nothing is easier or more pathetic than being a critic. Bullish Trump sends a message to James Comey and his detractors as he delivers first commencement address as president. Bank of China ATMs go dark as ransomware attack slams China. That's on Zero Hedge. Eurozone considering 10% tax on money in bank accounts. The globalist elites are not playing games. They're playing for keeps in our total destruction. If we continue playing the game by their rules, we will lose. That is absolutely true. SurvivalDan101.com. Trump orders preparation for electric grid cyber attacks. That's on Free Beacon. Well, that's good news if they actually do it. Paul Craig Roberts says USA is ready to nuke China and Russia. That's on the Daily Coin. I'm not sure if he's calling for that or not, but that's not a good idea. Barter will become the new economy after the global financial collapse, so make sure you have plenty of these items. That's on naturalnews.com. Massive corporate consolidation of local news underway. That's on blacklistednews.com. The real reasons why an unannounced Kissinger visited Trump. Pedogate and Venezuela intervention. That's from Dave Hodges of The Common Sense Show. Hillary's worst fears are realized with the firing of Comey. That's also from Dave Hodges. Kim Jong-un fires another ballistic missile 400 miles towards Japan after months threatening Trump with nuclear war and days after a new president took office in South Korea. Hunt for the Bitcoin bandits. World's cyber police are on the trail of the gang who unleashed the crippling virus. ISIS thugs turned children as young as 5 into executioners and forced them to hack off prisoners' limbs. And again, that's the religion of peace for you. Yes, if you ever talk to Muslims, some of them will argue with you all day and all night about how Islam is truly the religion of peace. Well, if it was based in the Meccan version, as in from Mecca, then you might be able to sell me on it. But unfortunately, ISIS and the imams out there are practicing what's called Medinan, the Medinan version from Medina. And that is the brutal version of Islam that we all know and despise. But unfortunately, the Medinan version came after the Meccan version, which gives it more weight in the scriptures, which means that even though they're both right, the Medinan violent version is the version that they're supposed to go by and give it more weight. Trump appointed manufacturing czar backfires, supports NAFTA, and backs Mexico. That didn't work out so well, did it? 3 reasons why James Comey should have been fired a long time ago. That's on Zero Hedge and theantimedia.org. I've been saying that for the last several weeks, I think it was. Yeah, they should have gotten rid of Comey straight away. As soon as Trump took office, he should have fired Comey then. Arizona passes bill to end income taxation on gold and silver. Major cyber attack kill switch found by accident, but war is not over. That's on Sputnik News. When I mentioned this one last night, woman tries to run congressman's limo off the road over GOP healthcare bill vote. Sleeping dragon fossil, the best preserved armored dinosaur ever found. That's on RT. North Korea fuming as it summons UK ambassador over CIA plot to kill Kim. That's on the Daily Star. Hillary Clinton funds a group that will be the resistance to President Donald Trump's agenda. That's on freedomoutpost.com. Paul Craig Roberts rages, "Are you ready to die? Why the FBI has always been a political tool of suppression." That's on the Daily Bell. That's why they come up with these agencies. They're all about oppression and suppression. And again, I mentioned this several days ago. These agencies like the FBI and the CIA and the IRS, you name it, any of the alphabet agencies are 100% totally unconstitutional. They are not mentioned in the enumerated powers. Nowhere does it say you can begin an agency, call it what you want, and let them do anything they want and just make up guidelines and rules and call them laws that we all have to abide by. That is not in the enumerated powers. And the FBI and the CIA and all the rest of them are completely unconstitutional. A former FBI whistleblower, quote, sang like a canary about one world government and pedophilia. That's on activistpost.com. And from Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, everything you own could soon be gone, and you thought Obama actually left office. Federal judge issues bombshell ruling against Obama. Judicial Watch is urging President Trump to not allow deep state agents within his government to get away with protecting Obama and Clinton even one day longer. That's on conservativepost.com. Peaking possibilities of May, North Korea WMD activity. In the next 30 days, there is an 85% chance for North Korean WMD activity. Beyond Parallel defines WMD activity as nuclear tests and missile launches. From the Daily Mail, quote, "It went psycho. Qantas pilot reveals horror moment. Computers on flight QF-72 broke down, sending the aircraft nosediving towards the Indian Ocean with 303 passengers on board." I wonder why it wasn't 333, because that would be a better Illuminati number. Massive corporate consolidation of local news is underway. So at a time when we need more local news, more competition, more choices, better informed communities, what we're getting is the same cookie-cutter content coast to coast. That would be part of the plan. That's called the mainstream media, and they call it that for a reason, because they want everybody to think the same way. CERN, ready to test an even bigger gun. The LINAC 4 will pump more energy into the LHC's proton smasher. CERN reckons the high luminosity configuration will increase the LHC's data collection tenfold between 2025 and 2035. To me, those year dates are completely arbitrary, and it's just something to watch. Probably going to mean more earthquakes. 70,000-year-old Shiveluch volcano in Russia given red warning to passenger planes after massive 13-kilometer ash and steam eruption. Shiveluch. I just like saying Shiveluch. That's on thebigwobble.org. Intensifying cosmic rays, grand solar minimum, and Earth's climate. That's on watchers.news. Soon we will be gods. Singularity or the big lie repackaged. I definitely think it's the big lie repackaged. ConcernedUSPatriots.com is where that one is. Russia and China breaking away from the U.S. petrodollar system and instead relying on gold-backed currencies, both the U.S. and EU, will surely collapse. Well, that would be the primary reason that the warmongers and the neocons want to take us to war against China and Russia. If they're truly breaking away from the U.S. petrodollar, that right there is reason to annihilate them in their warped and singular groupthink minds. Scientists are now creating brains in a dish to find solutions for mental illness. Well, I know a few people whose brain would function better in a dish. That's on naturalnews.com. Seattle area is currently hit by a small earthquake swarm with 18 tremors reported in 24 hours. About 40 tremors have been recorded in the last week, and that's on strangesounds.org. My guess is that's part of the slow slip event. Without looking closer at that, that's just an educated guess, but there has been a slow slip event going on in the Pacific Northwest, and tremors, of course, are like microquakes. They're zeros and ones, so barely able to be felt. Well, actually, you probably couldn't even feel a 1.0 quake, but the point is there's lots of movement going on, but again, it's most likely attributable to that slow slip event going on up there. Real-time malware attack map. As the massive ransomware attacks spread across the globe, Intel's interactive map below tracks every malware event worldwide in real time. That's on Zero Hedge. I'm not sure if that's interesting or just sick. Accidental hero finds kill switch to stop spread of ransomware cyber attack. Spread of malware curtailed by expert who simply registered a domain name for a few dollars, giving many across world time to protect against the attack. It's on The Guardian. Do you see these viral news stories? 3 days, 3 mainstream media fake news stories get debunked. That's on All News Pipeline. And again about the dinosaur. Amazing dinosaur found accidentally by miners in Canada known as a nodosaur. This 110 million year old armored plant eater is the best preserved fossil of its kind ever found. That's on National Geographic. North Korea test fires 7th ballistic missile in 2017. Projectile flew 700 kilometers and landed in the Sea of Japan. That's on Zero Hedge. The breakdown has begun. Experts warn this is not over. Atom bomb of malware may be just the tip of the iceberg as President Trump orders America to prepare. It's on All News Pipeline. And from Dane Wigington of Geoengineering Watch Global Alert News, May 13, 2017. That was posted today, and I'll show you that in just a second. The societal division between those who are willing to face the truth and those who are not is widening by the day. The power structure is doing all it can to fuel increasing animosity on all sides. Very true words. President Trump did not obstruct justice, so let's put this nonsense behind us and not criminalize policy differences as extremists in both parties have tried to do. That's on GatesstoneInstitute.org. Christians leaving Middle East in record numbers, driven out by terrorism and by the Islamic State and laws in countries the U.S. considers allies. It's on Newsmax. Security researcher has activated kill switch to stop WannaCry ransomware from spreading further, but it's not over. Criminals have just launched WannaCry 2.0 with no kill switch functionality. That's on thehackernews.com. And as I just mentioned, if you go to geoengineeringwatch.org, you will see the Global Alert News for Saturday, May 13th, 2017. I highly recommend listening to it. You can go right here and listen to the hour-long audio recording from Dane Wigington. And here's what he has to say. The societal division between those who are willing to face the truth and those who are not is widening by the day. The power structure is doing all it can to fuel increasing animosity on all sides of the equation. The truth about vaccination dangers is finally surfacing. This will continue to be a major and growing societal flashpoint. The former president of Merck Corporation, the largest vaccine manufacturer in the world, led a secret biowarfare program. Should this be a surprise? Global geopolitical issues are also spiraling out of control at blinding speed as a growing number of governments are losing control of their populations. A new study confirms the oxygen supply in the world's oceans is declining rapidly, The same is true for atmospheric oxygen. Ocean acidification is also accelerating ocean die-off. A new report from BBC warns us of new and formerly unknown pathogens that will be released from thawing permafrost. But will that be the true source of future plagues that are already beginning to unfold? How many in the environmental sciences are not telling the truth and thus betraying the very populations they pretend to serve? The dominoes are already falling on countless fronts. Now more than ever, all of us that are truly committed to the greater good need fortify our resolve to press on with our efforts to credibly and efficiently sound the alarm. Many have long since grown weary from this mission, but we must continue. This battle cannot be fought without an army of the awakened, and though so many are trying to remain willfully blind, unfolding circumstances will very soon force eyes to open. Make your voice heard. That is from Dane Wigington of geoengineeringwatch.org. Protesting pensioners throw punches in latest Venezuela unrest. Under new leadership, FBI could investigate Hillary. The statute of limitations hasn't come into play yet. That's on WND. Global ransomware attack spawned by the NSA. NSA backdoor exploited by ransomers. That's from David Knight of InfoWars. Migrant measles outbreak. Blame vax opponents, not open borders. Big Pharma uses open borders to sell questionable vaccines. Well, they're very questionable because they don't work. Vaccines are a 200-year-old scam. Trump causes Dems to expose themselves with one move. That was easy. Steve Pieczenik, intelligence community bloated, needs a clean out. Agencies turn on their own country. Yes, they do, and that's partly, at least in my mind, because they're all unconstitutional. I'm going to keep saying that until people listen. Planet Earth hacked. Biggest attack in history. The dangers of a technocrat-led society. New York Times confirms in InfoWars report Trump planning a major purge. Shake-up expected at the White House. Trump says in America, we don't worship government, we worship God. In contrast, Obama wanted you to worship the state as God. A viral video, Trump calls on God. President doesn't want you to worship government. I think that's important to keep in mind. If Trump straightens out what he's been doing and goes back to God himself, then I think he doesn't risk losing his life as soon as I thought he might be. And what I mean by that is it seemed like he was calling on God for a long time, and then all of a sudden he was doing all of these globalist type of maneuvers and moving away from God, and in which case you can lose the protection you have that God gives you while you are doing his work. And I was afraid that Trump may be moving away from that. I'm still sort of afraid that he is, but things are looking a little bit better, just maybe 5%. But anyway, it's something to definitely keep an eye on, and we'll see what happens. But just know that God is in control, not Trump. Okay, that's all for today's Diamond Report. Thanks for listening and watching. If you would, go to my YouTube channel. I'm at Diamond Disc, and also on Facebook at Diamond Disc. You can find me on Scene.life and Gab as well, gab.ai. And I will see you tomorrow.